So you waited until the last minute and now you have to cram for a test. And now there's a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this. And without wasting any of your time, I'm going to explain how to cram productively and get the most out of your study session. And now the first component is completely mental. You have to make sure that you're ridding yourself of any negative self-talk while you're cramming for an exam. Because if you constantly tell yourself that you're not going to be prepared, or you're not studying well enough, or you won't know the information, then the effort you put in is going to reflect these thoughts. In the same way that an Olympic athlete doesn't go into a competition thinking, oh, I'm okay, but I'm not the best. I'll try, but I might not do too well. You have to think the exact same way while you're studying and while you're cramming. You have to believe that the study session is going to be super efficient and that you're going to get a lot done. Because again, if you have doubts, it's going to be reflected in your effort. So this first mental step is just to be mindful of the kind of self-talk you have towards yourself while studying, and just be mindful of whether or not this comes up while you're cramming for an exam. And if it does, just replacing this talk with more confident and positive self-talk. And now the second thing you need to do while cramming is be honest with yourself and determine which information is actually important to study. It's very easy when we're cramming for an exam to not actually think about what core information is going to be the most important for the test and kind of just go over everything. So people will spend hours going over tangential information or little side notes that they might see in their textbook as opposed to focusing on the bulk of the important information. It's important to think about what has been discussed in class the most. So if you spend hours talking about one subject in class and another subject was essentially just ignored, then most likely you're going to want to focus more on the information that was covered more. There's no prize for spending hours and hours of needless time going over tangential information. More so than if you have a bunch of time and you're studying weeks in advance, when you're cramming, you have to be a lot more mindful of how important what you're studying actually is, and you have to be more selective. Especially if you truly are on a time crunch, it's your job to determine what subjects are worth your time. And now my third and final tip goes without saying, but if you're going to cram for an exam, you truly have to remove all distractions from your immediate environment. And again, you have to be super honest with yourself in this case. So maybe you usually study with friends, but they kind of distract you and pull your attention away from your studies. Then you have to be honest with yourself and acknowledge that in this case, you're going to have to go solo for the night. Or say you like studying in busy cafes or on-campus buildings, but there are constant distractions that are also pulling your attention away. You might have to study in somewhere less crowded and a little bit more boring, but easier to focus on. Again, this step is all about being honest with yourself. You have to acknowledge that if you're going to get really, really productive work done, sometimes it's not going to be super entertaining, even though you might like to study with friends in areas you like. Unfortunately, if you are cramming for an exam and you set yourself up in this situation, it's not going to always be possible, and you sometimes will have to make compromises so you can be more productive while you're studying. So just to summarize, if you want to be more productive while cramming for an exam, you have to start switching your self-talk to be more positive, focus more on what information is essential and what is tangential and not as important, and eliminate all distractions, even if they are entertaining. Now, I really hope you guys can find these tips useful. If you like videos like this on studying and productivity for college students, I really recommend you subscribe. There's going to be a whole lot more videos like this soon, but until then, I'll see you guys.